kick off our next 1MC Westminster for February 3rd. We have a little bit of a switch up today. One of our presenters couldn't make it, but we will still be having our investor talks Q&A with Mac Conwell from RareBreed Ventures in Baltimore. He will still be here today. But we will probably keep the first half of this open-ended today, and we'll do a little sort of feedback session with the group. And if that's not lively enough, we've got other tricks up our sleeves to entertain you for the next hour or so, or at least until we're waiting for Mac to join. So let's start by, we'll thank our community sponsors, Magic. I'm Graham Dodds, the Executive Director of Magic, the Mid-Atlantic Gigabit Innovation Collaboratory. We are a 501c3 here based in Westminster, Maryland, doing economic development, workforce development, and helping entrepreneurs and startups succeed. And then, of course, we have our coffee sponsor, Furnace Hills Coffee, which I believe someone just pasted that link into the chat. Thank you, Julius. It is furnacehillscoffee.com. You get 25% discount for joining today. You just have to use the discount code 1MC Westminster. That is Westminster, not Westminster, as we were talking earlier. People often mispronounce our name here. So yeah, be sure to if you buy coffee, check out furnacehills.com. Use that discount code for 25% off your entire order. Also, attendees of 1 Million Cups Westminster, by the way, get one of these handsome travel mugs after they've attended 5 consecutive, there's Tamar's modeling hers, 5 consecutive meetings in a row. All of our presenters, if you know any presenters, you get the coveted ceramic mug. Oh, there's Tina with hers. Excellent. So yeah, and then if you do,
and I'm waiting for Graham to slog through the snow to bring me the one that you have tomorrow.
I know.
Oh, you had it yet? I'll get it.
He mailed me mine, so what can I say? He's dedicated.
And then if you do 10 in a row, if you attend 10 of these in a row, you'll get a t-shirt. So I think Tamar, Tina, you already have earned t-shirts. So we'll
really? I've got my t-shirt yet.
Yeah, we'll have to get this to you. So anyway, good morning, everybody. And I'm going to kick it over to Val. We usually start these by going through what 1 Million Cups is all about, what our core values are. So Val, go ahead and share your screen and take it away.
Take it away. We good?
Yep.
Okay. I hate that I can't see it. All right. So 1MC Westminster. So we have pillars and a core program that make 1MC important, and it's what allows us to serve the mission that we have. The pillars, as I think everyone here has heard multiple times, presentations, right? Not pitches. We are connecting, not networking. We are for the community, by the community. Nobody owns 1MC. Graham tries to pretend like he does, but he doesn't own it. It's all of ours. Nobody should be paid to do 1MC, and yeah, we'll just say that's for sure. And we are radically and intentionally inclusive. And I think that with all that we've done so far, you have seen that, right? We've had all different kinds of presenters, and so we really strive to make sure that everyone feels included in our group to present here. Every Wednesday at 9 is when we meet, and that's when it meets nationwide. We try to have 2 presenters, and we've been doing pretty good at that. We're going to talk a little bit about that here shortly. Your organization needs to be less than 5 years old, and gosh, you need to be willing to ask for help. And since we all need help, that shouldn't be too difficult. We always end with the question, what can we as a community do to help you? And I think that that's where the value really comes in here. These are our organizing team. You've seen most of us, and that's it. Woo! Stop share.
Thank you very much, Val. So yeah, we see some new faces today. Hi, Julie. Hi, Daniel. We had a schedule with your social media Sherpa in Chicago to be joining us today. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. So we'll have to reschedule them for another day. So we still have our investor talks at 9:30 with Mac Conwell from RareBreed Ventures, a Baltimore-based VC, one of the newest Baltimore venture capital firms. So we'll still have that conversation with Mac. But between now, for the next 20 some odd minutes, we've got a little time to either open it up for questions, community chat, however you guys want to proceed. Val had the idea that maybe we could sort of solicit ideas for when this happens. What should we do? Should we cancel? Should we reschedule? Should we have open mic, so to speak, for people to just connect and talk? Also, I can present some more information about my organization and the autonomous vehicle corridor project that we're working on here in Westminster. So we're kind of let everyone open up their mics. Normally we'd be saying, hey, mute your mics now, but we'd love to just sort of say hi to everybody and let everyone talk for a little bit before our conversation with Mac at 9:30. So anybody have any ideas about what we should talk about? Maybe we can introduce Julie and Dan, since you're new faces to this meeting here. I don't mean to put either of you on the spot since you're brand new to meeting with us here, but maybe Julie, since you chimed in on LinkedIn, are you in a place where you can unmute and just say hi?
I can, absolutely. Hey, hi, everybody.
Hi, and you're coming to us from Montreal, is that right?
I am. I hope that's all right.
That's perfectly fine.
Wonderful. We're
No.
I don't know what you're like over there. We've got lots of snow, which is
So do we.
normal.
So do we.
Yeah, good. We're
One
all in
thing
the
we have
same
in
boat.
common.
Hence Nanook of the North. So I'm from Montreal, and we are launching very, very soon the first move away from industry generic social media to industry specific social media. And we're doing it with a hybrid app, which is half video sharing channels and half culinary marketplace. And we are exclusively made for the restaurant industry and all of those very special industries around it, the growers. So yeah, we're onboarding. We literally got the app in hand yesterday, and we're onboarding first adopters, very special chefs and restaurants this month.
Wow.
And we've got a press release going out from Food Network Canada on the 1st of March
Nice.
to start prepping our reveal, which goes live. We've got an episode with Food Network in May. So we're in that kind of scary phase where we're hoping everything is going to work, although it has been stress tested, but my stress doesn't recognize that.
And it's called Night Picker, is that right?
It's called Night Picker because when we were doing research and development, we realized that the first ingredient when you gather around food is the date. Everybody asks, when are you, should we eat together? When are you free? What date, what night? So we went with Night Picker.
Is that nightpicker.com?
Yeah, it's, you don't have high expectations of the site. It's really just a placeholder because we're actually an app. But the app is Night Picker Watch Eat. And we're starting actually this week uploading that first content.
Excellent.
So very
Very
excited.
nice to meet you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I mean, we could almost do an impromptu Night Picker presentation.
Yeah.
Maybe we still will. Maybe we'll
it.
put you on the spot. Let's say hi to Daniel real quick. Hey, Daniel, you're from McDaniel, right?
That's right. Yeah. So hi, everybody. Daniel Schaefer. I teach in the English department at McDaniel College. And I'm here primarily because starting, I've always tried to be involved around Carroll County and Westminster because I teach courses where students intern with local nonprofits and businesses. And in fact, in the spring, I've got Val and Tina partnering up with my Writing for Main Street course, which I'm very excited about.
Very nice.
But my presence here is kind of me enacting a goal for myself, which is to attend more events that Graham puts on. So I'm starting off with what I hope is going to be a more regular appearance with things that have magic's hands in them in some way. So that's why I'm here, just kind of trying to learn and connect.
So Graham, am I
Daniel,
feeling some warm body here as a new volunteer for our event?
Oh, it sounds like it. That's Kim, our program
Oh,
director at
Hi,
Magic.
Daniel. Kim Samuelson. I do all the programs for Magic, our hackathon, capture the flag competitions, that kind of thing. And we're always looking for new bodies to help us out with these events. So I'm
Sure, yeah.
definitely going to jot your name down.
Okay, great.
And Sandy Anderson, I see you're here today. Is this your first 1 Million Cup, Sandy? Are you able to unmute? She might not be able to unmute. All right, we won't put you on
I
the spot,
see
Sandy.
Josh has been able to join us as well. Welcome, Josh. We're so excited for you on your new venture. It's great to see you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Josh Ambrose of Johns Hopkins University now,
Woo!
formerly
I've
of
not
McDonald
heard.
College. Yeah.
Oh, Val didn't hear. Oh, Josh, you're in trouble.
So Josh, do you want to tell everyone about your new role at Fast Forward University?
Sure. Well, good morning, everybody. Yeah, I accepted a role as the Director of Student Ventures at Fast Forward U and Johns Hopkins. And so in that capacity, I oversee our Homewood campus. We have a center for co-working and makerspace and all that kind of good stuff that's right next to our house in Remington. And then have a couple different folks that I work with there. And so, yeah, after almost 9 years at McDaniel, I'm starting a new commute, but still here in Westminster, not planning to move anytime soon. And really glad that Daniel is here. Daniel is taking the torch from me on many different initiatives. Not my official role, but he is taking over a lot of the interactive classes that I've taught for the last couple of years. So glad he's here with us this morning.
And actually, Josh, if you can still talk, can you just talk about Hey Westminster for a second? Let everyone know what you're doing with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you haven't checked it out yet, a group of friends and I started heywestminster.com, which was named by our good friend Jason Stanbaugh. And it's a new initiative here in town that looks to kickstart and support initiatives that are making our community a better place to live and work. And so it's not a community foundation. It is not a charity. But what we do is we have a group of about a dozen trustees who get together once a month, and we choose an initiative that we want to give money to. So each trustee chips in $100, and so we're giving away $1,000 a month to a small business, a nonprofit, an individual, whoever it may be. One of the nice things about our structure is that it's very flexible in who we give to, and so it's an immediate pass through. And you can read more about it at heywestminster.com. We formed in the fall, kicked off in January. Our first recipient was Katie Kirby of Together We Own It. You might have seen that article on the front page of the newspaper. This Saturday, we are giving away February's grant to AO Boutique, which is a new interactive, interesting kind of designer boutique store that's opening up across from Genie Bird. They've also partnered with Wisdom Court Entertainment and are going to have a recording studio and art studio in the back of the store. And we have at this point, gosh, almost a dozen new applications in the hopper to consider for March. So we're really excited to continue to do that. So yeah, check it out, heywestminster.com. You can read more about the application process there. And if you're interested in seeing who's on the team, or you're interested in thinking about joining the team, go ahead and click the team link as well, and you can check it out.
Yeah, all the more reason not to lose Josh as a resource here in Westminster, just because he's at Johns Hopkins now. Keeping that brain trust and that philanthropy here in Westminster is definitely worth our while. So we'll have to keep bribing Josh to stay. We'll have to like send him some Genie Bird baked goods or something. All right, so we've got a few minutes still until Mac comes on. We have our Q&A and our fireside chat with him. Anything else anybody wants to talk about? Any updates maybe from different companies that have presented before? I know we've got a couple of you here. We've got Tina, we've got Carl. So maybe we can
If I
start.
may, Graham,
What's that?
I'd like to, I do have an update because of our presentation on 1 million cups and because of the collaborations that we've been able to establish with many different people that we met through 1 million cups, specifically with McDaniel College and the collaboration that Josh helped put us on track with. Daniel Schaefer, we're going to be working with someone from his program, the Main Street Writing Program, and that'll be our first intern as a business, which is awesome. And then also we're working with student engagement on a Paint Your Own Kindness initiative, February 16th. They're going to have primed signs ready for painting that say "Be kind" as a part of their initiative with the students. I think they got 80 signs that the students are going to be painting, and we're talking about the students on their own choosing, like a couple of signs to represent McDaniel from this Be Kind initiative, and putting them up on campus somewhere. And then also that's going to roll into some other initiatives with the anti-bullying and using the Infinite Love Hearts as a giving impetus to remind people to be kind. So we're really appreciative of the collaborations that have come about because of 1MC. Thank you so much.
Excellent. That's great to hear. Thank you, Tina. All right, so Carl, do you have any quick updates that you want to share? You don't have to.
I don't think so, since I just gave the presentation, what, 2 weeks ago now?
Yeah.
It's been kind of hectic. I went through the Navy Expo last week and some other Navy program reviews. And this week just kind of catching my breath and trying to figure out what's gone on the last 2 weeks I've missed.
Excellent. Well, also, I think we're zeroing in on May 20th as the date for our ribbon cutting ceremony of our autonomous corridor project here in Westminster. We're hoping to have Governor Hogan out, Secretary Schultz, some other people tomorrow. Hopefully we can get you out here. So it's National Transportation Week that week, befitting of this ribbon cutting. So
What's the date? What's the date, Graham?
it's tentative for May 20th. So
Have
we're
you already put the request in to the governor and the secretary?
Well, we put the request into the secretary. She said she was going to forward it to the governor, but we
Okay.
haven't had direct contact with Hogan yet. For the first
Okay, did you say May 20th?
May 20th. Yeah, that's our target date, either the 19th or 20th.
Okay.
So, all right. And actually, listen, we got a few minutes here. I want to give Tamar 5 minutes to talk about TEDCO, and then I'm going to actually give Julie from Montreal 5 minutes to tell us a little bit more about Night Picker. Maybe she can do a little screen share. So, Tamar, take it away.
Sure, I don't even need 5 minutes. I put a link in the chat over here about some COVID funding that TEDCO got, $5 million. The application isn't live yet. This is just the press release, but it's supposed to be early February. So like any day now, we're all watching, and it's intended to be kind of bridge funding for small and disadvantaged and rural businesses. So whether you whether you're considered or consider yourself in a disadvantaged class, you qualify on account of being rural in Carroll County because it's following the TEDCO definitions of rural right now, and you're in it. And it's intended to kind of help companies that definitely have the prospect for future financing, but are suffering as a result of COVID. So it's 5 million statewide. So we're keeping an eye out for the, and I know Graham is too, for the application deadline. And, you'll expect to, we'll talk about it next week if it's alive, and definitely you'll see it on all kinds of social platforms, hopefully. I'll put it on LinkedIn. I know Graham will as well. So that's it for me.
Excellent. Thank you, Tamar.
Sure.
All right. Well, we have a special guest, impromptu. We're sort of improvising here, and she's being so flexible with us. And I've just gone ahead and asked Julie here from Montreal to present her company, Night Picker, for the next 5 minutes. So, Julie, if you want to share your screen and tell us more about Night Picker, that would be great.
I'd love to share my screen, but unfortunately, because it's so impromptu, I have no deck ready for you.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right.
Next time, I promise. If you're happy to hear a little bit more, we came across to Montreal in 2009 from France. I'm English, if you haven't guessed from the accent. So I spent 13 years in France. Came over to Montreal with my family in 2009 and started creating business concepts. So one of which is Night Picker. And that came about because when we left, just as we left Europe, there was the financial crisis, and we, by the skin of our teeth, did not go under. I had 2 Beau Concept furniture stores at the time, and we just made it. So I'd felt the pain of a store. I'd seen other franchisees going down. And when we came to Montreal, I did the right thing ecologically. I got rid of the car because we're so close to 2 metro stations, which takes me along the busiest restaurant street in Montreal. And I got fed up of seeing so many restaurants open, do well, struggle, and close. And I know the pain behind a closed door of a business. And that really bothered me. And then 2 of my 3 sons went into the restaurant business in kitchens, helping to pay their way through university. And then it got really personal. And I'm a retailer at heart. I'm commerce. You cut me, I bleed commerce. So I know that by increasing trade in an ethical manner, you can put a lot of things right organically. So I started to look at the business. I started to listen to the friends who came home, the chefs, the owners, the dishwashers, and I got to understand the problems within the industry. And I thought a lot of them are generic. A lot of them can be fixed with a good commercial business model. So that's when, listening to all these stories, I knew that Night Picker needed to share those stories that I was being honored to listen to. So I knew it had to be media-led, story-led. But a good story makes a great book, and it makes a great movie, but it doesn't really help a business bottom line, which is when I knew I had to plug in a commercial element, which was the marketplace. And that marketplace is 100% free for restaurants. We take nothing from the industry. So Night Picker is a media company. We make our money because of the weight of the content on the platform. So our business model is based away from the industry with sponsorships, advertising, data, which is ethically sold to help go back into that restaurant circle, that restaurant industry circle. And that's how Night Picker became this hybrid media marketplace. We've had great uptake from the industry. I think the restaurants, nobody has actually managed to unify this very, very fragmented industry. And we're really going in with the thought process, looking at Shopify and how they've managed to unify independent retailers without them losing their independent identity. That's what we're hoping we can do for the restaurant industry, by giving them, pulling them in under the Night Picker umbrella, if you like, to give all of the independent restaurants that are out there that are so much in need of help the opportunity to access group marketing power. Because the way we work with our advertisers is that up to 50% of our ad revenue is re-injected back into the industry to promote Night Picker off-platform, to promote chefs and restaurants who are on the platform. And with that in mind, we've just agreed a super innovative new spot on CTV, which is one of Canada's biggest news networks. So from the 1st of March, you're going to be seeing Night Picker presenting a restaurant spot every Monday night. And we'll have 3 minutes. So we're going to choose one restaurant or one chef every month to do 4 little micro episodes that we put out on CTV as the news, the restaurant news. And that's just one example of how we actually reinvest back into the industry.
Is your background in marketing and advertising?
No, I mean, it really is retail. I was part and parcel of the marketing, well, not the marketing, but the steering committee for Europe's biggest shopping mall, the Metro Centre, when that opened. So I helped steer that. And I have to say that gave me a lot of smarts. I was with some amazing people. The head of Marks and Spencer's was with us in the committee, and I was young. I learned a huge amount very quickly, and had some great mentors within my group. And then I helped build the first IKEA in the northeast of England, just next to the Metro Centre. So it's, you know, I've got that kind of very, I've just been blessed that I've had a lot of great people mentoring me. I've had a lot of great opportunities to put it into practice. And I think when you've got a sound base in retail, if you apply it to any industry, the same rules apply.
So we have a question from our community here, Josh Ambrose of I almost said McDaniel College, sorry, Johns Hopkins University.
All good.
Says, thanks for stopping by, Julie. Very cool space to be in. Along those lines, there are a lot of restaurant/food apps out there. What is your single greatest unique angle that will convince consumers to download and use the app? And why should I be discontent with Instagram stories that feature restaurants, for example?
Oh, great questions. We have the hook, I think, that nobody else has. We've got restaurant stories. So we've got the Watch channel, which is where all of the merchants' channels live. So video sharing. It's almost as if Facebook Watch and eBay made a food baby. So you get the best of restaurant stories about the people, about their places, about their culture. And as a user, you know, looking at it from the user side, if there's so many places, you're right, there's so many apps that you can go to. There's so many restaurants on Instagram, thankfully for us, because that's made the integration, the adoption so much easier for us. because they're already working with videos a lot. But there's no central space. We will be the culinary space, the culinary app where food people and food lovers gather, where people can watch bite-sized videos, fly on the wall, posted raw by the restaurants themselves, which is very, very magnetic. So, you know, when we say, why fish in an ocean stocked with all sorts of kinds of fish, which is social media today, when you can go and fish in a really well-stocked, curated lake full of the fish you want to catch. That's the difference between industry generic social media and industry specific social media, which is what Night Picker is really spearheading.
That sounds great. Very ambitious. I mean, yes, channel, you know, fragmentation and sort of, so, you know, channel curation, media curation. It does bubble up, you know. I feel like every 10, 20 years or so, people get tired of the noise that's in one large channel. And then
You said it. Yeah. Very noisy. Yeah, you've got to, you know, there's a lot of noise there to get through. And we realize that, you know, we prefer to integrate rather than alienate. And with that in mind, I built Night Picker to be sales platform agnostic, which is one of our secret sources. It means when nothing happens, no sales are passed on the app. There's no fees, there's no commissions. We push. So we magnify the marketing that they're already doing. They can duplicate it. They can repurpose it on Night Picker. They have more, it's a nicer area to release and go a little bit deeper because they know they're talking to food lovers only. But sales platform agnostic, very important because we want them to just add us as an additional tool to their social media mix.
Well, thank you very much, Julie, for improvising with us. With
my pleasure for listening.
Night Picker discussion. We now have our featured guest, Mac Conwell from RareBreed Ventures is here for our fireside chat, our Magic Investor Talks. Mac, good morning. How you doing?
Muted. There we go. Good morning. Sorry, it was muted. You know, the normal Zoom issues. How's everybody doing today?
Great. And I'm just going to, I spotlighted your video, so everyone should be seeing you featured now. Mac, this is, you know, relatively loose format. We can either go through and do a Q&A, or you can maybe start with like a description of your background and RareBreed Ventures. If you have any materials you want to present, you're more than welcome to share your screen and present as well, or just stay, you know, on camera. I'll just kick it over to you though to sort of introduce yourself and introduce RareBreed.
Sure. So how's it going, everybody? My name's Mac Conwell. Most people know me as Mac. I am from Baltimore. A little bit about my background is I studied computer science at Morgan State. My sophomore year of school, I got an internship with the DOD and got a top secret clearance. So my junior year of school, I dropped out and became a government contractor like a bunch of other people in this area, right? So everybody does. Spent several years as a government contractor, and in 2010, I started my first startup with two of my best friends. At the time, I didn't know what a startup was. I didn't know what a VC was. We were just three engineers who could build stuff. Ended up running that company for 4.5 years. Went through 2 accelerators, one in Baltimore, one in San Francisco. Had a pivot, and eventually sold the IP off to a division of a Fortune 100 company. That was really cool. Learned a lot. Started another company after that. That company didn't work out, so I have a win and a loss. You know, go figure. Came back to Baltimore and got a job at a marketing firm for a year before I ended up getting a job at TEDCO, the Maryland Technology Development Corporation. As many people, for those of you who don't know, TEDCO is the largest funder of early stage tech companies in the state of Maryland. They get $21 million annually to deploy across 9 different funding programs. They do anywhere upwards of 50 plus seed deals a year and probably 25 pre-seed deals a year at this point. When I got hired, I was originally on the seed investment team, helping the team do $100,000 to $200,000 investments. But when they hired me, they were looking to make more investments into Black-led startups. And what the local Black tech community said was TechCo didn't look like them, didn't market to them, and they lacked access to friends and family capital to even compete for seed funding. So I ended up leading an initiative to create a pre-seed fund, which is now known as the Builder Fund. The first year was specifically for Black-led startups, and we were able to partner with the Harbor Bank of Maryland, who put up half the money for the first year. The second year, we increased the designation of women and all minority groups. And in 2019, the governor and legislators saw fit to put $1 million in the annual budget to make it a long-term fund in the state. It is the first and only state-backed pre-seed fund for women and minorities in the country. Something that's really cool distinction for us here in Maryland. And then I ended up leaving that fund and joined our portfolio management team internally, so I could work across all 9 portfolios to support our companies with follow-on funding, partnerships, strategic planning, and marketing. And then in August of last year, I left that job to start RareBreed Ventures. So at RareBreed, we are raising a $10 million pre-seed to seed venture fund. Investing in companies sub 10 million post-money valuation. We'll go as high as 20, but sub 10 is where we like to be. Primarily investing in companies outside the major tech hubs, outside of Silicon Valley, New York, and Massachusetts. For obvious reasons, speaks to my experience being here in Maryland. We're industry agnostic. We don't do life sciences because I don't have a PhD. Wouldn't know what to do with that, but we'll invest in just about anything else. And we are raising under 506C designation, so I can publicly disclose. So with that, anybody who's interested in being an LP in RareBreed, our minimum check size is 10K. Feel free to reach out to me or go to rarebreed.vc and click the button Become an LP. Just got to mention it every chance I get.
So other than the stage that you are looking at for startups, do you have another investment thesis in terms of certain verticals or anything like that that you're looking for?
Not really.
That intrigue you at least.
I would say we don't have anything that we look for in particular. I will say the caveat is, if you're a software tech-enabled company, we like to see a clearly repeatable or unique customer acquisition strategy. You don't have to have a lot of customers, but you need to know how you get your customers. And we like physical products and consumer markets that have lacked innovation for 10 or more years. And so with that industry, two industries that we're really excited about is one, we're really excited about the hair care market, but not the consumables, the oils, but the physical products like the tools, right? We're investing in a company that's making a dryer for wigs. We're looking at a company right now that makes biodegradable plant-based braiding and wig hair, just because the materials used for wig hair never haven't been innovated on. Things like that are really interesting and exciting to me. And then we're also really excited in products that are catering towards the Gen Z consumer. If you think about the top end of Gen Zs around somewhere between 22 to 24, the lifespan of a fund is 10 years. So if you look over the course of the next 10 years, their purchasing power is going to grow exponentially. And so looking at companies that are catering to that demographic now is something we're really excited about.
And we have a question here from the group, from Josh Ambrose at Johns Hopkins University. He says, thanks for being here, Mac. 2 questions. 1, what is your average investment amount currently? Do you want to maybe address that first before I go to the second?
So our target investment amount is $250,000. We want to put $250,000 in every investment, but every deal is different. Every size of the deal, how much allocation we get is different. Our average to date has been 125. It's not because that's what we wanted, but that's how the game shakes out. So our average is 125, but our goal in every deal is 250.
So you are still able to actively invest as you're closing your first fund, is that right? Or have you already closed the first fund?
So we set up our fund differently. For those who don't know, last year, Angels List came out with a product they call the Rolling Fund, where people can basically subscribe into a fund on a quarterly basis. And you get access to that money as people subscribe. We didn't do that because of the way they return capital to their LPs or limited partners who invest in the fund. And so what we did is we created a traditional fund under 506C so we can still publicly talk about it. But what we do is We have a website set up that you can just go to and fill out docs. You never have to talk to me if you don't want to. I'm going to stop you, so you do have a conversation with me. I want to know who wants to invest with us. And then we actually do rolling closes every 3 weeks. So as LPs commit, we close on that money on a 3-week rolling basis. So we actually we've closed on over 25% of the fund at this point. So we're actively investing out of that as we go.
Excellent. Congratulations. That's a big accomplishment. I mean, you're one of the youngest funds in Baltimore, right? Is that fair to say?
By far, yeah.
Yeah, okay. You're the new kid on the block, so to speak.
I am new kid on the block.
The second half of Josh's question was, how do you choose who to invest in? Is there like a voting process with other members of your organization?
Yeah, so the choice, deciding who to invest in, there's a lot of factors, right? Like first, is this market big enough to support $1 billion company, right? That's the first and foremost. Then we're going to look at your customer acquisition and your traction and how you think about, the customer experience and those things. After that, we're going to look at your team, how's the team set up. But a lot of it has to do with the momentum the company has. And also, when companies are pitching to investors, right, you're always thinking about your competitors. But at the time of fundraising, there's always your competitors in your market. But then there's also the other companies that I'm seeing in a given month or over a given quarter, right? Like in any given week, I can see anywhere from 10 to 50 plus companies in a given week. Like it's not hard for me to see like 60 companies in a week. Like it happens, right? And so in a given month, I can see like upwards of, 200, 250 companies. So in a given quarter, I can see close to like 700, 750, 800 companies. And we might invest in one, maybe two companies over that quarter, right? So like when I see a company or I meet a company, you're not just competing against the companies in your space, you're competing against all the other companies I'm seeing. And so we're really just trying to figure out who's the best opportunity. And it varies. Every situation is unique. I'll give you an example. The most recent investment we made is a company called Buffalo Market. When I first met the founder, it was interesting. Wasn't super excited, but they had done 40,000 in sales the month they met me in October, 60,000 in November, 100,000 December, 88,000 the first 2 weeks of January. Right? We made the investment, and they became oversubscribed in the next 24 hours. Right? Like that's just one of those like market dynamics where they were growing really rapidly and a lot of people were interested compared to other companies where I've gotten to know founders for, 6-7 months at a time and got to watch them grow. And then there are companies where, another VC of mine sends me a company that's in the middle of raising and there's not a whole lot of time. And you just kind of have to dig into it and determine, if this is something I really believe in or bullish about, or is there anything that we're overlooking? So every situation is unique. There is no one way, but for the process, we do have a team. There's 4 of us. I'm the only full-time person. I'm the GP. I'm the boss. So even though we have a team and everybody votes, whatever I say is what goes. Like I get final say, right? But to that point, everybody on the team has one golden bullet. So like even the junior associates on my team, if there's a company they truly believe in, they get one. Everybody gets one, right? So I can't be completely authoritarian.
So, now let's talk a little bit about your background as a founder, because I think it's always really great to see founders who make that jump to be investors. I always feel like there's more empathy with the founders that they're talking to. And you've been very, very open in the past. I've seen your blog posts on Facebook and stuff about failure, what it means to feel like you failed or to experience that sting of failure. I remember when I first met you, you were CEO, I think it was No Bad Gift, is that right?
Yeah, nobadgift.com, yeah.
And then it went to was it Redberry?
It was Redberry, yep.
That was the next one. Now, I don't want you to, if you're not comfortable getting too personal, but you experience a lot of adversity in just your startup experience with even having a founder pass away. Maybe you can talk to us about other founders here about just, that grit to keep going, and what those lessons that you learned then have actually taught you as an investor now?
I'd say being an entrepreneur it wasn't fun, right? Like, it's one of the hardest things I've ever done. It's also one of the most rewarding things I ever did, right? The amount of things I've learned, the experiences, the stuff that my mind was just open to in the process, being from Baltimore, then going through Accelerate Baltimore, to going directly out to San Francisco and being in the New Me Accelerator, where I got to meet the who's who of Silicon Valley. It was like completely eye-opening, right? Like, I've been on a private jet with Ben Horowitz before. Right? Like, I've been in these rooms, I've seen these things, all while being completely broke. Let's say that. I will say is truly one of the things you need to master as an entrepreneur is the ability to manage your own emotional state, because you're always on this roller coaster. You're either too high or too low. You're never like even keeled. Like, you can have a meeting with a potential customer that go great and you're like over the moon, and then like 20 minutes later you get an email from somebody saying they're not investing, or that they're not renewing, or you have a customer canceling a contract, and like the rest of your day is just terrible, right? Like, those are the ups and downs. And then you don't understand how much risk you're willing to take until you're in it, right? Like, everybody has a game plan. They're like, I save some money, once I hit this limit, I'll be good. Or, if this ever happens, we'll get out. And then it happens and you walk around and like, it's not that bad. Things could be worse. We keep going, right? And then everybody else is looking at you like, isn't everything burning around you? Like, oh no, it's okay. Like, I still got this coffee. Like, as long as I got my coffee, I'm good, right? Like, you build up this tough skin. But at the end of the day, most startups fail. Like, my first company, we sold the IP and that was great. But my second company bombed, and it bombed because of poor team construction, right? Like, to watch a company fail, not because the company itself wasn't sound. Like, we had customers, we had people begging for the product. We had like people begging on our doors to give us money. And yeah, us as a team couldn't come together to get it finished, right? And then also, especially in the startup world, at some point, especially if you think about raising money from venture capitalists and things like that, you're going to start to put yourself out there. So you become very public. Like, everybody around you knows what you're doing. Then everybody in your local ecosystem knows you're doing. And then you get that TechCrunch article, and now you got a bunch of people nationally knowing what you're doing. And then it doesn't work out. And now, all the events you used to go to, all the Zoom calls you would be in, you don't want to be a part of, because you don't want to hear anybody ask you, so how's your company going? How are things going? How's the startup? That's what happened to me when I had my second company fail. My second company failed. I tell people I took a 6 month sabbatical. I basically just hid from the world for 6 months. Like, I didn't want to be around anybody. I didn't want to talk to anybody. Like, I just needed to reset myself in my life. And it was through that process that I learned that the people who care about you the most in your life, they're never going to understand what you're going through. They're never going to understand anything about the business. They're going to try to. They're going to be supportive. They're always going to tell you how great you are. They're not going to understand the nuances. But when things go bad, those people will always be there, right? Like, like how successful you are at your business is not what determines how much they love and care about you, right? Or how much they respect you, or how smart they think you are, or any of that, right? And that was something I had to learn and internalize and help me get through that period. But yeah, failure sucks.
Yeah, I agree. And I think one of the interesting aspects of learning more about venture capital and how it works, and understanding who LPs are, and what your reporting requirements are, and all that kind of how you go about raising a fund. I think for entrepreneurs to understand that process, I feel like it makes when you get rejected by a VC, you take it less personally once you understand what's going on behind the scenes. I do have some questions here from the group I want to just jump to real quick. Okay. Julie Guillard from Night Picker would like to know if you invest outside the US at all, Mac, maybe Canada.
So We are open to making investments outside the United States. We may end up making a few international investments. We're not focused on it, but for the right company, I have no problem, making that investment.
So you're not just focused on Baltimore, for example, as
No.
as a thesis.
No, we find companies any and everywhere, all across the country. We just prefer you not to be in the places where capital is most saturated.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I know there are some VCs like Brad Feld. When I used to, one of my former companies took an investment from him, and then I got bombarded with people from all over the place saying, "Hey, introduce me to Brad Feld." And a lot of those people were outside the country, and he said, "No international investments. Maybe tax implications. I'm not exactly sure why, but
There's a lot of reasons why.
yeah." All right, Mark Weingram asks, because your check sizes are smaller than your goal, do your terms include participation rights in future rounds? And what additional strategic benefits are you marshaling for your portfolio outside of capital?
Great question. What I would say is, generally speaking, whether we get our target amount or not, we're always going to ask for a pro rata right. So the ability to invest in future rounds to protect our equity position in the company. And that's just on principle of, since we do really early investing, we want to have the option to continue to put money to, at minimum, protect our position. And that should be something that the founder should want to do for an early investor, for being somebody who took a bet on you early. If you don't want to do that, I'm always going to question, what kind of relationship are we building, right? Like, if you take an investment from a VC, especially at the early stage, like, that investment timeline is normally going to be longer than the average marriage in the United States, right? So if we're about to get married, if we're about to have this relationship, we're about to get married, I don't want to start off in a position where the person I'm working with is trying to nickel and dime me and get every bit they can squeeze out of the deal, right? So, for us, that's just a thing on principle. Whether or not we get to participate additionally beyond that, well, that just depends on what we can bring to the round. From a strategic standpoint, what we offer to our portfolio, we like to look at ourselves as a value add firm. I'm a true believer in, it's more than just the money. And a lot of that also has to do because we're investing in companies that are outside these major tech hubs. They're going to have biases against them, right? Like, can you build $1 billion company in Baltimore or in Kansas City or in Birmingham, Alabama? Well, yes, you can. They have been companies that have done it, but other VCs, especially in some of the other, on the other coast, may feel differently. And so the ability to help our companies with partnerships or customers is really important to us, because that makes sure that we can help you achieve your growth goals. And if you hit your growth goals, I have a network of over 1,000 VCs all over the globe. We can find you funding, right? Like, if you need to, I can set up meetings with like 50 to 60 investors in 1 week, and go barrel through this to raise some funding, right? And if your growth goals are on point and you're growing at the right rate, now raising capital is not that hard, right? The hard part is executing to get the customers and the revenue, and then having the right story to tell to the investors. But we're there to help with that all the way through. And also, we have a lot of LPs and limited partners in our fund, and almost all of our LPs have some kind of strategic advantage or skill set that are there to offer, entrepreneurs. One of our LPs is a former head of merchandising at Target. So if you're a CPG company, you're trying to get into Target, we got somebody for you, right? I got another LP who's an executive at Custom Ink. If you need to talk to somebody, get some discounts on some custom products, we got somebody there for you, right? I have one of my, like, two of our LPs are former fintech founders who made a bunch of money in the fintech and who work in private equity. If you have a fintech company, we have a specialist to get, like, we have connections to get you to. And then the last strategic thing that we offer, which is kind of weird, that's only happened over the last few months, is I have a really large Twitter following. I have over 25,000 followers on Twitter, and that's only growing. I had 2,500 in June. I have 25,000 a day. So, we're quickly approaching 50. But what the advantage of that is, when I tweet about products, when I tweet about, discounts, when I tweet about companies, that makes things move, right? If I tweet that I have a company that needs help, like I'll on average get 40 to 50 responses. So like I'm going to tweet out the day one of my companies is looking for a HubSpot consultant. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get like 50 plus responses on Twitter today, and then hand those off for the founder to evaluate. Those kinds of things are just unique, and the way we think about strategically helping our startups.
So going back to the big top of the conversation, you mentioned sort of making the jump from being institutional investor, so to speak, at TEDCO, and now starting your own venture fund. What can you do now with in control of your own venture fund that you maybe couldn't do in institutional fundraising, as an institutional VC for TEDCO, for example?
I get to do whatever I want within the realms of what I told my LPs I'm going to do, right? So like one of the big things for me was being at TEDCO, there were a lot of amazing founders that I would meet that I still couldn't fund, right? Whether somebody on the team thought they were too early or they weren't based here in Maryland, those types of things were crushing to me. I mean, if you follow me, you may have heard the story before, but there's a woman in Baltimore who's the one creating this wig dryer. I've been trying to support her for almost 4 years. Nobody wanted to support her because she was too early. She didn't have a prototype. Even though she bought a small dryer off of Amazon, took out the heating components and reconfigured it to prove out the concept, right? Like still, nobody wanted to support her or help her, to the point where she became so frustrated, she became a surrogate mother to raise the money to start building her prototype. And like the program I built at TEDCO, the Builder Fund was supposed to help individuals like her, and we still couldn't get her money. And I couldn't let that go. I couldn't let that go. And so I knew I was going to have to start a fund if I was going to be able to make the investments that I saw opportunities in, because I never wanted to be the investor that missed out on something like Spanx, right? Like like some of the stuff is there. Like there's these opportunities. We can do we can make things happen. And so yeah, for me, that's what I get to do. Like if I see an amazing founder and everybody says no, doesn't matter. I'm the GP, we're doing it, right? Like,
right. So, and you get to then also really help underserved entrepreneurs, realize their goals. I mean, if they're having challenges getting the funding at the state level or through traditional lending, then who else is going to do it, right? If not you. So
yeah, but then again, I can only do so many. Right? Like at the end of the day, there's only so many I can do. So and that's the other thing. Like I'm on my own, but I'm seeing so many great companies, and I can only fund such a small portion of them. But we try our best.
Well, thank you very much, Mac. That's actually pretty much all the time we have. Is there any last, parting comment or observation in your experience or pearls of wisdom you'd like to share with these other entrepreneurs on the call?
Follow me on Twitter at Mac Conwell. The handle is Mac the VC, so you'll see me. I would say that my parting words would be, as innovative and unique as you're going to be about your product, be just as innovative and unique about your customer acquisition. Because customer acquisition at the end of the day is what's going to get you paid, either in funding or in revenue, right? Really think through unique ways to go about getting your customers. And as long as you focus on customer acquisition, experience, and retention, those three things, you can be on the right track to having a successful business, whether you raise funding or not, right? Like funding is just a tool. It's not a goal, right? It's not the end all be all. The end all be all is being able to build the company that you set out to build, right? And as long as you worry about customer acquisition, experience, and retention, you can have a good shot at doing that.
Thank you very much, Mac.
Thank you.
We're all clapping. Everyone's got the mics muted so you can't hear it, but thank you very much. And hey, man, I mean, great to see you making that successful jump. I mean, it's been amazing to see you jump from founder to institutional VC to your own independent VC, and to get that Twitter following, you know, it's an amazing transformation. So congratulations, all your
I
success.
appreciate that. It's been a wild ride, right? And there's a lot more to come. So I'm excited for it all.
Excellent. All right. Well, everybody, that's another 1 Million Cups Westminster. Thank you again to Mac Conwell from RareBreed Ventures for joining us. Thanks to Julie Guillard from Night Picker for the impromptu presentation. And thank you to everybody else for joining. We wouldn't be able to do this without you. So we're going to take a break, I think, next 2 Wednesdays. So we're going to take 2 Wednesdays off. We're going to, fill up our queue with more startups for you. And hopefully some more investor interviews like we had today with Mac and last week with Chris College. So, come back in another couple of weeks and we'll send out the notifications. So if you don't already follow us on 1millioncups.com/Westminster, you have to follow our community to get our email updates. Then you should do so. All right. Thanks, everybody. Good to see you again. Take care.
Thank you. Have an awesome week.
You too.